Okay, welcome back to part 2 of making Nemesis. So, for the sole fact of your entertainment, we have changed some things up. I am going to use the OD3 transmission for now, at least, until the 2 low comes in. I've been upgrading this truck like crazy, and at 3,000 subscribers, one lucky person's going to win it. It's got tons of brass, it's got a Fusion SE, and an AGFRC 45 kilogram brushless servo. Ooh, mama! And then we'll give that a try. Another reason why I didn't want to go with the OD3 is because I can't change the differentials on these axles. When you have these axles, that's it. There's no changing your ring gear or anything like that. This transmission, as it sits, is only good for doing no overdrive or 18%. You can't drop it. You can't go over without changing out your ring and pinion gears. But because I'm eager to get this thing running, and you guys are eager to find out what's going on with this thing, what we've done is we put the OD3 in it. We've moved it back. We've installed the motor, and it's like literally on the chassis, but not so much that it's causing any issues. The motor still moves pretty freely. The other thing is we removed the bed. And the reason for that is because this drive shaft was sitting into it. And rather than cut the bed out, I've got 3 or 4 other vehicles that have a bed on them. And I wanted to get an LCG without a bed. The bed's actually quite heavy. So what we're going to do is we're putting a body on it. And I had chosen the body. And luckily they had one in stock when I went to go pick up some parts. We have a stage killer body. But the servo is so big, you can actually see the body had to be cut in order for it to fit properly. So we'll get the body mount out of the way. Yeah, so it kind of looks like it's got a beefed up motor there. So as it sits, the servo comes through about this much. And the body actually looks pretty decent on it. I like it. The back end looks a little high, but not much I can do about that. I mean, I could shred the body down to nothing, but the body would still be sitting up, so it's pretty pointless. And on the front, we'd just be running into more obstacles with the servo. So I just left it at that height. I thought that was a good height for it. And actually, if I drop it down too far, we will end up having rubbing issues on the inside. Right now, everything clears just right. So we're good there. The back bit, I used body posts from a Red Cat Gen 8 that I got from a 6-pack that I had built up a while ago. And this is a cross member from an Element. So that's what those pieces are, in case you're wondering. And how that works is there was actual body mounts. All I had to do was screw the screws in and then drill out those Red Cat mounts. I'd use these on another build, so they were already there, and it was quite handy. But for now, I need to do programming, and I need to get the motor wired up, because right now it's not. And I don't have any plugs for these, like connectors, so I'm gonna have to solder those directly. So we're gonna go ahead and do that, and then we're gonna try and take her for a run and see what needs to be fixed and what doesn't. I did find out one thing with the shocks. Anytime I change the position of the shocks into a different position, I have to mess with the panhard and the steering link because it affects how it collapses. So that's a big pain in the butt for that. I can see here that it still does a little bit of movement. I can't really do too much about that. It's pretty minimal right now. And what I mean by the movement, it shifts like this, and you're always going to get that. The lower down it goes, the more it's going to drop to the side. Then that's just how the Panhard works. That's why most people don't run Panhard, and they run a 4-link instead of a 3-link, as they say. I mean, 3-link is still 4-link because the link's your Panhard. But I can't do anything about that because we're running without a servo mount on axle. So, yeah, I'll be right back. Well, hello, Puss. Have you joined us for our recording session while we wait for the neighbor to finish with his shot? Oh, he's done. Hooray. You're getting to be quite the rock crawler yourself, aren't you? And there we are. Gotta love the smell of a brand new truck. So, all the complications, all the programming has been done, and we're going to be doing her little run here and see how she works. So it's an 1850 kV motor. We're running 18% overdrive. You can hear that little bit of rub there on the chassis. That is the motor, just a hair on it. So might have to take a little Dremel to it. Now I chose this body because it has the most clearance for the 2.2 tires. I have not siped or snipped the rear tires yet. Got to remember how to drive with this Sparcdrive system. It's a little bit different than just regular axles. So far the tires are working good. Now we're running 11-tooth pinion. And I think, I'm not entirely sure what the Sparcdrive system is for ratio, because it sounds like that motor is struggling a little bit. So let's take a look here. We're still in a testing process. Okay, so that's barely even warm. I do, however, see some stuttering there on the motor. Okay, we've got it all back together. We have shredded just the smallest amount off the chassis, just to make room. It was barely anything. We'll see if that helps. This transmission can only put a smallest of a 9-tooth pinion. That's a 48 pitch. Right now it's got an 11. So the problem with that is we might have to switch the transmission, which we were going to do anyway. I don't know what the gear ratio is on these axles, but let's give her a whirl and see what we're doing here. Yeah, we're still getting cogging. That is actually set up, so I can't do anything more on that part of tuning the ESC with the motor. Could also be the motor. This is more of an eco motor. Ooh, that didn't sound good. What is going on here? Yeah, that doesn't sound good. Well, I'm going to take this back up to the shop. So firstly, we're going to pull the transmission apart here, because I want to just double check to make sure it wasn't the gears in the transmission, being that this is a cheaper transmission. And if it sees that it's not, then we got an issue with the differential. I really hope it's not the differential. So that is going to be really, really too bad. Nope, there is nothing wrong with that transmission. Pinion's fine. No, I'm not seeing anything. Damn. Okay, so I've just got the front axle pulled apart here. And quite intriguing design, honestly. But I'm not seeing anything not even in the reduction drive there, that would suggest that has any stripped gears in it. The other thing is could it be something else inside of here? So that means I'm going to have to take all this off. I'll be right back. So there is nothing wrong with the pinion gear on the out shaft or on the ring gear. So, yeah, it's too hard to tell if there's something wrong on the inside of that. So while I got this opened up, let's just try and figure out what our gear ratio is here. So it looks like we got about 12 here on the pinion. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then, well, I'm going to use a marker to find this out because that's a lot of stuff on here. So put a mark there and we'll count around. Not including the black one that I just marked. We'll count that one last. So 30. So 30 and 12. So that's a really high gear ratio. So that would be why my my motor was stuttering. Okay, it's been a week since last weekend when I first was doing the footage there. I contacted Sean at Sparcdrive and was covering some of the issues that I was having with the system, which didn't end up even being the system at all. Turns out I was having issues with the pinion gear and the transmission of the OD3. It was skipping on the spur gear because the ratio that's on the axles and the ratio inside of the transmission was so high that the teeth, the 48 pitch teeth couldn't hold up, and what happened is the motor ended up pushing itself past the tooth, and it was skipping. So that's the noise that we were getting after opening everything up, and because I didn't know if that was the case, because when I took the transmission apart I couldn't see that because I didn't check through the little window. Sean was very helpful. I had 2 video conferences with him, and it was really insightful. We had a lot of talkings about setups and things like that. I went as far as to throw the axles back into my element, and I did a stress test on these. And what I did was I drove the truck up to a wall and then spun the tires, and it had absolutely no issues. It wasn't skipping, no issues like that. And we're using the same system in it. That's the exact same system that I had in Nemesis. The problem was I didn't want to put a Stealth X transmission into Nemesis. And unfortunately, being it's the weekend, my mail has the 2-low in it, but I can't access it until they actually drop it off. So it's here in the post office, but not in my mailbox, unfortunately. Sean did end up sending me on-axle servo mount for the axles. So that'll be good. We'll be able to use that. And the Panhard, I really wanted to use the Panhard. It's just too much of a pain in the butt to keep. Yeah, you just lose so much. That was my first attempt at making a Panhard LCG chassis. I didn't like it at all. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna switch Nemesis out to being servo on axle, and we're gonna go from there. I did talk to Sean about some things I couldn't find information on, like when I was on his website, things like that. I couldn't find what the voltage capability of the system is, and it's 16 volts. 16 volts is what the controller can handle. That does not mean run 4S on it. That means you can run 3S. So don't do 4S. I think 4S is like 16.8 volts. That's only good up to 16 volts. So there was that, and then the gear ratio, which is 2.5 on the axles. So that's pretty important information that people need to know. So he's going to update his website and do that. So I've been kind of like the guinea pig when it's come to this whole thing. He has told me he's not been getting a lot of feedback from other people about the Sparcdrive system, and that I am probably the first that he knows of that's making LCG chassis build out of it. So that's good to know. I did come up with a couple little VIBCRC overhauls for it though, and I have started to implement those right into it. So the drive system on the Sparcdrive has settings to change the amount or how aggressive the inner steer is versus the outer steer. And what I mean by that, it'll go all the way up to the point where it'll stop turning this tire to work more as a dig, the same on the rear, which is what I want the rear tire to do, but not necessarily the front tires to do all the time. So you can adjust that so that it moves more adjacent to the outer tire. However, I wanted it to be more like a dig, so full on or not at all on point. And I went over this with him, but because I'm a little bit more complex on controllers than most people, I decided to give it a whirl and asked if that was okay, and he said, yeah, go ahead. He's like, that's brilliant, might as well show it. So what I've done is I've done the first axle already, but on demand, I can make that Sparcdrive torque vectoring, or I can turn it into full lock on demand. I ran it on this Element truck. It works flawlessly, and I might do it so that I can do the rear as well. So there will be like a fourth and fifth channel to run that. So I can go full torque vectoring over both axles, or I can just run torque vectoring on the rear, or I can just run it on the front, or whatever. So that's going to be super epic. So that just unlocked a whole lot more that the Sparcdrive can do on top of what it can already do. I can't wait to show you guys how that drives. So yeah. So that's what was going on there. But what an epic fail Nemesis was on the first standpoint. And it was all because of the transmission. We will have our high-low here soon, and I think that's a 94:1 ratio. I'll put it up on the screen what it actually is, and we shouldn't have an issue. But the OD3 transmission will not work with the Sparcdrive. It's just it doesn't have a low enough gear ratio or gear reduction is what I should say on it in order to deal with it. So that is what it is. But that's enough. I'm gonna get this done and I'm gonna try to put it up. I am monetized now, finally, so I'm pretty happy about that. And I am making a video on this gatekeeper as well. I put the 2.3s on this with the Injoras inserts in it, and it's pretty awesome. And I've readjusted the rear shocks with the double dampener, and it's pretty awesome, I gotta say. I really like that adjustability, and I didn't find any stickiness after this truck sat for a week on the suspension. So yeah, if you like the look of those, go out and get them, guys. They're not bad. I mean, they're not going to be the best rock crawling thing, but they haven't leaked yet. They seem to work, and the adjustability actually works really good on those. So I'll do another video on that, and hopefully try and get that up this weekend. It might not, though, because it's supposed to pour rain. So, just saying. Anyway, that's enough babbling. Until next time!
Hello guys.